This is hashtag Now Smoking. I'm your host, Gary Korb, executive editor for cigaradvisor.com. And for this week's episode, I have the Siboney Reserve Maduro by Aganorsa, and this is the Robusto. So, I don't know if you remember, but our Cigar Advisor review panel reviewed the Toro in this line a couple months ago, and we're going to see how the Robusto is, all right, and compare notes. So, let's take a look at our beautiful little cigar here. It's got a really nice dark Mexican San Andres Maduro wrapper. And it's kind of a very soft box press. You probably can't tell from this picture, but it's square, but very rounded, very rounded. So, and it's not exactly oval either, somewhere in between. But anyway, it's really nice looking. The wrapper is even in color throughout. The cap is a beautiful triple seam. I don't see any, there are no protruding veins. It's nice. It's got a little tooth to it. Let's see how it smells here. Oh, wow. I'm getting kind of a little cocoa-y note off that. Yeah, like a little chocolatey note. That's nice. And let's cut it and see what happens. So, whoops. And I got it. All right. I get too much hand sanitizer. I'm going to slip. So, you clip beautifully. Let's see how the draw is. Pretty good, and I'm getting a little saltiness. Maybe a little bit of that cocoa flavor too. Yeah, so it's kind of nice. I like that. All right then, let's light it up. I don't know if you can see this. It's my elbows rubbing on the table here. And as you know, we always want to do the edges first. That's lighting up nice. I usually don't get this close, but this lighter is running out of fuel, so whoops. Wow, that is nice and tasty. That is tasty. Let me see if I can just get it a little better. Let's try this lighter. Yeah, that's better. The idea is you really want to get a nice glow throughout the whole foot of the cigar, because they're both almost out of fuel. There we go. Nice draw. It's a little firm. But the smoke's coming out nice, and got a little smoke got up into my nose there. It's kind of peppery. A little bit of sweetness in there too. All right, so anyway, it's off to a good start. I'm liking it. This is basically a medium plus cigar, but let's get into the details. This is, again, the Siboney Reserve Maduro by Aganorsa. This is the Robusto, and it is made at Tabsa SA in Esteli, Nicaragua, and it is a 5 1/4 by 50. The wrapper is Mexican San Andres Maduro, as I said earlier, and of course, like most Aganorsa cigars, it has a filler minor, Nicaraguan Aganorsa state-grown leaves, and some of the best tobacco you're ever going to smoke is from Aganorsa. And as you know, if you follow Cigar Advisor, we are big fans of Aganorsa and the folks who work there, like Terrence Riley and the whole gang. So, nice and smooth. Draw's improved a little bit. smooth, but the smoke itself is kind of peppery. I'm getting a little bit of pepper on the back of the throat. This could just be the way it's starting out. We'll see if it rounds out. It's definitely a little bit, well, maybe I don't want to commit yet, but I think this is going to be a little bit more intense than the Toro for some reason. I just think it's because of the dimensions, but let's see what happens as I get a little more into the first act. Very nice, very nice. Siboney Reserve Maduro Aganorsa Robusto, as we have been smoking here. And I'm, about half an inch in. I got a nice ash here. It's looking kind of solid in color for the most part. It's light gray. And I have my iced coffee. And later on, we're going to get into some rum. I got some Puerto Rican rum here. I'll explain why I brought rum today. And let's talk about Aganorsa a little bit. The tobaccos grown on Aganorsa farms in Nicaragua are among the best. As I mentioned earlier, they are really spectacular in terms of how they grow and cure and ferment their tobacco. And if you've ever smoked cigars by Warped or Illusione or HVC, then you're smoking Aganorsa tobaccos as well. So they supply a lot of leaf to some of the other boutique labels. And the company was founded by Eduardo Antonio Fernandez Pujals in 1997. And now the company is run under the direction of his son, Max Fernandez. And what Eduardo did, it was very smart. What he did was, he's from Cuba, obviously, and he brought in Cuban agronomists who really knew how to do tobacco the old school Cuban method. And as a result, they've been growing some of the best Nicaraguan Criollo, Criollo 98 and Corojo 99 tobacco. And you can really taste it. I mean, there's really, really good, rich tobacco flavor from these leaves. And the other thing was that Ciboney was originally a Cuban brand, but in 2019, that was last year, of course, they kind of revived the brand, and they made it into a full-bodied Nicaraguan Puro, which is the regular Siboney Reserve line by Aganorsa. And then they came out with this, and both lines, the Reserva Maduro and the Reserva, are made exclusively for famous smoke shops, so that's always nice. And this one, as I said, has the Mexican San Andres Maduro wrapper. It's a really nice dark one too, and it has some nice sweetness to it. And of course, the core, as I mentioned, is all Nicaraguan, and it's probably a mix of Criollo and Corojo. I don't have any of the finer details, but these are presented in boxes of 10 cigars, and they're offered in 4 shapes. There's the Toro, which is one that we reviewed on Cigar Advisor a few months back, and then there's the Lonsdale, 6x44, Robusto, which I have here, and then there's a Rothschild. This cigar is an $8 MSRP, so it's very affordable. And if you don't want to buy a full box, you can buy them in 5-packs. So everything you want for the cigars is available, okay? So let's get back to tasting the cigar. Enough of the other stuff, right? Well, it's very, very smooth, which is what I like. And it's got nice smoke coming through it, nice volume. The smoke is a little chewy. It's a little bit sweet, which I like. And that's probably a lot of that coming from the wrapper. And I don't know if there's any jalapa grown tobacco in here. Jalapa tends to be a little bit sweeter, but it's really, now that little pepper that I had at the beginning has rounded out a bit, but there is still a little bit of that peppery remains on my palate. The cigar is really holding up nicely too. It's burning a little bit off, but I don't know if you know this trick, but if you turn it upside down and you have the angled part where it's angled in on top, the bottom should even out. Now I'm in a room here where we have no breeze or anything, so I don't know how much it's going to help, but the flavor. It's really well balanced too. Just really, really good. Now, when we get into the next half of the cigar, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Siboney, the town, and what Siboney really means. What is Siboney, right? So we're going to get to that in a little bit, but let's see how this goes. One more puff. Yeah, that's really, really nice. It's a nice cigar for the afternoon or after dinner. I'm smoking it in the afternoon today, and it's got a lot of rich Nicaraguan flavor. So if you like good Nicaraguan cigars, this is a baby, I'll tell you right now. It's very, very good. So let's see what happens when I get a little further down, and we'll come back for that. I'm just approaching the end of the first inch here on my Siboney Reserve Maduro by Aganorsa Robusto. And look at that nice ash. I got the burn to even out, and the ash is really, really nice. It's actually, it's a stippled ash. It's not as solid as I thought it was. And let's see how it comes off on the ashtray. Let's see if we can just show it right here. Oh, it's, well, a little firm there, but it came off nicely. All right, well, anyway, I'm finding this cigar to be extremely smooth. And I think that's important, especially if you're like a newer cigar smoker and you want to try the cigar. It's always good if the cigar is nice and smooth, it's not too overpowering. And I think you get a lot more enjoyment out of it too. But it's got a lot of nice, rich flavor for those who are a little more experienced. So it's kind of a cigar for everybody, I think, at this point. Let me see how it's doing at this point. Oh, wow. You know, it actually got a little sweeter. Boy, that's really nice. And it has, the aroma is a little sharp, but it's, you know, it's not offensive, has a good hearty aroma to it. And it's well balanced. And the primary notes that I'm getting out of this right now are still that sweet tobacco, or I like to call it sweet spice because it's really kind of spicy. Just a little hint of that salt is still in there, and that nice woodiness. And I might be reaching, but maybe I'm getting a little bit of like ground coffee in there too. But the cigar is really, really burning beautifully. Now, I promised you I would tell you a little bit about Siboney, okay? What is Siboney? All right, well, Siboney is a place in Cuba. It's actually a Cuban village, and it's located east of the city of Santiago de Cuba. But what does Siboney mean? Well, okay, the name Siboney, and it's also spelled with a C, C-I-B-O-N-E-Y, and it comes from the Arawak term for cave dweller. Yeah, because many of the Cuban Siboney appear to have lived in caves, at least part of the time. And they were the indigenous people who formerly inhabited the Greater Antilles, you know, of unknown origin and linguistic affiliation. The Siboney were largely displaced by the Taino settlers prior to the Europeans coming in. And of course, they were pretty much extinct by the end of the 16th century. So, and we're going to get more into the history of the Siboney Indians soon too. But let's see how this is going again. Wow, it's just really, really smooth. I'll tell you, it is comparing nicely to the Toro. It is a little bit smaller in terms of size, but it's really nicely packed. It's still, you know, no soft spots. It's just coming along great. Yeah, nice chewy smoke. Really, really great job by the people at Aganorsa. So what I'm going to do is when we come back, we're going to try it with some Puerto Rican rum. Now, the reason I brought rum today is because, as I was telling you about the Siboney people, they lived in the Caribbean, and the Caribbean is known for good rum, and we're going to see how it pairs with that. Now, I have my iced coffee, which is kind of sweet. This has got a little bit of sweetness to it. We've had it before on the show, and we're going to see if rum is good. I can tell you right now, this is definitely a good bourbon cigar, okay? But we'll see how it goes with the rum in just a minute. So we're back, and we've got a nice ash going again here. Smoke is still very, very smooth. It's dense. It's nice volume. And as I promised, we're going to try some of this bourbon barrel aged Dovetail Puerto Rican rum from our good friend John Drew Brands. Okay, so I've had this before if you've been watching this show on a sort of regular basis. And I'm not going to do a lot of it, but we will see. Salud. Ooh, that's good. That's smooth. Really smooth. Let's try our cigar. That's a good match. Yeah, I could definitely see this with a really fine rum too. And this is more of like I think it's kind of a blend. No, it's Puerto Rican rum. It's aged 4 years in bourbon barrels. And it says here that teams like blackstrap refiners grade molasses. Oh, okay. So this, as you know, if you know anything about rum, it is made from molasses. And a lot of it comes from the Dominican Republic, but it's made in Jamaica. It's made all over the Caribbean. So I'm finding this really nice. Let's see how we'll do it the other way. And really, really nice and sweet. That rum really coats the palate nicely. And it is a bit on the sweet side. And it is leaving like nice, that kind of tingly alcohol kind of taste. It's not bitter. It's very smooth. It's very, very good rum. Yes, I approve. All right, so ash is going great. And let's talk a little bit more about the Ciboney. Okay, so who were the Ciboney? Well, between 1000 BCE, that's before the Common Era, and 500 BCE, the slightly more advanced Mesolithic Indians called the Ciboneys, or this is a good one, the Guanahakabibi, arrived in the Caribbean and settled in Jamaica and in the Bahamas and Cuba, and Haiti. Now, around 300 BCE, they were followed by the Neolithic Indians, who broadly consisted of the Tainos and the Kalinagos. By the time of the European contact, they had been driven by their more powerful Taino neighbors to a few isolated locales on Western Hispaniola, which we now know as Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and Cuba. And other typical Ciboney dwelling sites were small offshore islets and swamp hammocks. The linguistic affiliations of the Ciboney are unknown, as are their origins. Certain features of Ciboney culture also point to Florida and others to Central America or South America. And they spoke a distinct dialect of Taino language, which is conventionally known as Siboney Taino. And it was distinct from, but mutually intelligible with classic Taino. So they obviously could communicate, but they had some problems too, I guess, between each other. So anyway, a little bit of history there. I got some more coming up about what happened with the Spanish, but let's get back to our cigar. Yeah, I mean, this is a very consistent smoke. It hasn't really beefed up at all in terms of a body. It's I don't think I really talked about that yet. It's kind of a medium body, medium plus, maybe at most, but very, very medium, very consistent in terms of its body and its strength. It's not overpowering at all. And I think, you know, as an $8 MSRP cigar, I would say, as someone who has bought a lot of cigars over the years, is certainly a good value. And if you buy them in the 5-pack or the box, you probably get them down probably below $7. But of course, you know, prices do change. And I think we're ready to take off the secondary band, which identifies it as the Maduro. Let's see if I can peel it off real nice, let's say. Yeah, we got that. Ooh, look at that, nice and clean. We like that. All right, so we'll put that down. And we already agreed that the rum is good. Like I said, I think a bourbon would go really well with this too. I think just about anything, maybe an espresso, you know, this would make a good after dinner cigar with espresso, or, you know, your favorite bourbon, even a mixed drink. Suddenly I'm into Manhattans. I don't know, I guess somebody made me a phenomenal Manhattan a couple weeks ago, and I've kind of gotten hooked on those. But this is really delicious just with the straight rum. We'll take another sip here. Yeah, that's a really good rum, really nice. You can even taste the barrel aging in it a little, which is cool too, which you get in a lot of bourbons. And this was aged in bourbon barrels, so. Yeah, I'm just trying to get some of that aroma. Yeah, it's just hitting on every cylinder, you know. I just very impressed with this cigar, very impressive. And let's see what else. Let's see if I can pick up any more flavors. The rum has opened it up a little bit, but of course the iced coffee was sweeter. So this is sweet, but it's not as sweet as that. So I'll take one more shot. And my palate's really getting used to the rum now. And it's tasting a lot smoother. And it really, I don't know, it just kind of even helps smooth it out a little bit more. You know, it's just, so I'm really, really impressed with that. And as far as who should smoke this cigar, as I said earlier, I think anybody can smoke this cigar with a little experience at the very least. You know, you want to be, you know, a little bit of experience before you get into this cigar. It is a little fuller in flavor. It is full flavored, which is a lot different than full strength. And a lot of people don't tend to delineate between that. They think, oh, it's full, you know, it's going to be strong. But that's not true. There are a lot of medium-bodied cigars like this one that are just full in flavor. In other words, you're getting everything in one big shot. And also, you should be able to identify some of the flavors. Now, I'm still getting that sweet spice. The salt has kind of gone away. I don't know if the rum took care of that, but I'm still getting some woody notes. And again, I think there is a little coffee in there too. So anyway, I'm going to finish up with the Siboney Reserve Maduro by Aganorsa in just a minute as we get to Act 3. See you then. Delicious. We are now in the third act, and this cigar has been absolutely consistent and fantastic. It's, I don't know, now that I've gotten down to the end pretty much, I'd say it's mostly got a woody character to it. You know, I'm getting a lot more of that out of the cigar, but it's still very smooth. It's still sweet. And I went back to the iced coffee, but it's just really, really fine. So let's talk about some of the history and finish up here. At the time of the Spanish colonization, The Ciboney were the most populous group in Cuba. They inhabited the central part of the island between western Pinar del Rio province and eastern Oriente province. And there was a Spanish colonist, landowner, and he was also like a priest. He eventually became a bishop. His name was Bartolome de las Casas. And he lived among the Ciboney in the early 16th century. And they were the dominant population in Cuba, and this happened until around 1450. And Las Casas states that unlike the highly organized classic Taino to the east, the Ciboney had no integrated chiefdoms or wider political structure. So in the mid-15th century, classic Taino from Hispaniola began migrating into eastern Cuba, overcoming the native Ciboney. And these Cuban Taino established chiefdoms concentrated in the Orient province, although they established settlements as far west as Havana. And however, the Cuban Taino never really established an island-wide political structure like they did in Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. The classic Taino migration from Hispaniola to Cuba increased after Spanish contact, with many Taino leaving to escape the Spanish incursion, which you can't blame them. And notably, Hispaniola Taino chief, he was a very famous chief, his name was Hatue. He fled to Cuba with most of his people, and he remained there until the Spanish captured and unfortunately they executed him. But following the Spanish conquest of Cuba in 1511, under Don Diego Velázquez de Cuellar, the population of all native groups declined precipitously until they had disappeared as distinct groups by the end of the century. So, you know, that's just the way things go. And in 1898, Ciboney and the nearby village of Dacuri were locations where American forces came ashore in the Spanish-American War. And the World War I transport ship, the USS Siboney, was named for the town, as was its escort carrier, the USS Ciboney. Now, they both had the same name, but one was CVE 112, and the other was the ID 29099. But Ciboney was also the location of a farm where Fidel Castro and his men gathered before the attack on the Moconda Barracks, which is widely regarded as the beginning of the Cuban Revolution. So the Ciboney people, unfortunately, you know, were wiped out like a lot of other indigenous tribes. And but it does play an important part in Cuban history. So I hope you enjoyed that. I wasn't boring, but getting back to the cigar, which is not boring, it's absolutely great, and it's gone great with the iced coffee, great with the rum, and I can see it going great with a lot of other things. Let's just see how it's going right now. I got to tell you, it has not really increased in strength at all. The body is definitely more in the medium full range, but it is just straight goodness all the way through. I can tell you that. And I would definitely say if you like the cigars that are made by Aganorsa Leaf, you should definitely put this on your gotta buy list, because it's a great cigar for any time of day. I think it's at $8, you know, that's MSRP now. It's very affordable, and I really feel you get your money's worth out of it too. It's just absolutely delicious. Nice volume of smoke. You could probably smoke this even in the late part of the morning, after lunch. I think it's a good any time of day cigar. But I think it's also a cigar you want to kind of kick back and relax with. You really want to be able to appreciate those, you know, wonderful Criollo and Corojo tobaccos that Aganorsa grows. And they're so nice and smooth. And one of the reasons they are is because they're so well aged. They really know what they're doing, these guys. So if you caught the Cigar Advisor panel review on the Toro and you thought that was good, and you haven't tried the Robusto yet, definitely take a shot at that. I understand that the Lonsdale, which is the 6-inch by 44, I heard that has some kick to it. So if you like Lonsdales, and you don't see too many Lonsdales these days, definitely try that one. And the Rothschild, the 4.5 by 48, that's also a real, you know, firecracker. So if you like a good snappy cigar and good Nicaraguan, earthy, rich kind of a flavor, I'd say you could go for those too. But every cigar in this line is absolutely delicious. All right, well, anyway, this has really been a pleasure smoking this Siboney Reserve Maduro by Aganorsa. Robusto, yes, Robusto, 5 1/4 by 50. And remember that you can buy Siboney Reserve Maduro by Aganorsa cigars at famous-smoke.com. And you can buy also the Siboney Reserve. And we have a whole bunch of other Aganorsa brands at famous-smoke.com. And of course, you know, if you're visiting famous-smoke.com, don't forget to sign up and get a catalog, because the catalog is free and it's full of great deals. And for more cigar smoking advice and information, be sure to follow us at cigaradvisor.com and sign up for our emails, because we're always giving out some great advice and great reviews. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video, okay? And follow us on YouTube and sign up for our notifications, because YouTube is great and we have a ton of videos there and you'll learn a lot of stuff. So anyway, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you get a chance to smoke the Siboney Reserve Maduro from Aganorsa. And I'll see you next time. This is Gary Korb signing off for #NoSmoking. Happy smokes.